Like, when I got asked to do this, I genuinely had a thought to think to myself and thought, do I actually believe Man United were better than this Man City side? And they are, and I'll tell you why. Well, firstly, I just want to start off by congratulating Manchester City. Despite the conversation that we're potentially going to have now to win a treble and to feast at the top table, if you like, is an incredible achievement. So well done. And you look at Pep Guardiola, and he's finally sort of cemented his name as the #1 checkbook manager of all time, don't you think? Even in 2018, he referred to it and he admitted himself, without the money, he wouldn't be able to play the football that he does. But, look, jokes aside, I think it's an incredible, as I say, achievement. Big kudos and hats off. And do you know what? I'll be honest. I think, watching the videos of Haaland and obviously Grealish as well, celebrating and everything like that, even from a Man United perspective, I'm sure a lot of fans won't like me saying this, but you've actually got quite a likeable team. The players that you've got in there, Pep, he's almost like a guilty pleasure. You just can't quite help but like what he does, the way he operates. When he said he was the king of the Premier League, I think it was on some coverage on TV. It's great to see. But let's get down to business. I mean, we're talking about two treble sides, and we've got to be able to split them. And look, if we go through the Premier League, I'm sure you're going to be saying you kept more clean sheets, you've scored more goals, you've conceded less goals and all of that stuff. But you did actually lose more games than Man United in that season compared to the 99 one. But look, we'll go by that one. I could probably hold my hands up and say Manchester City probably had a better league campaign than United's 99. But then we look into the FA Cup, and, Man United had to play the likes of Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea, big teams back then. Look at the squads, they're just incredible. But, Man City has to play European giants like Sheffield United on the way to get in the FA Cup.
And United in the final.
Yeah, and United, not the best.
And Arsenal in the quarter-final.
Arsenal. So we'll even take Arsenal as specific because they both had to play them in the FA Cups respectively in each season. You're telling me this Arsenal side was better than the 99 one with Bergkamp and Martin Keown and that ilk?
I'll tell you one thing for sure. Every single Premier League team now is better than they were back then. Football has evolved massively. It's changed so much. And this is the best football team we've ever seen, I think, in any league. The football that we play, the manager, the players themselves. That Man United treble team, it's an incredible achievement. You've done it first. Like, big respect. And you talk about Pep being a checkbook manager. I mean, no team can win without finances, apart from Leicester. United were outspending everyone when they won the treble. So that argument just completely goes by the by. But if we're talking about the actual teams themselves, I don't think there's one Man United player who gets in this Manchester City starting 11. Maybe after 3 or 4 years with Pep Guardiola, but I don't think there's a single player who can lace the boots of these lads who've just won the treble here. Think about John Stones. He's playing at right back, centre back, and then got UEFA Team of the Year in centre mid. Like, that's incredible. That's versatility that those players back in '99 just didn't have. They were a very, very well-oiled machine, and they were very, very good players. I'm not denying that. And you talk like, if we go position for position, then maybe you'll say like, okay, Giggs better than Grealish at his peak, sure. Scholes, one of the best players ever. Sure, the defence kind of arguable, absolutely. But as a team and as a unit, I do not think that Man United team of '99 will be able to compete at all with this City team.
You talk about quality, and you mentioned it there. And do you know what? You're probably right. The quality in terms of the squad depth is better from Manchester City side. But I think that actually suits my argument more. The fact that you had the stronger side, the fact that you were almost expected to win. Man United had 5 players from the academy. I don't need to go into the class of '92. They didn't cost a penny. And as you say, the quality of football now is a lot better, which I agree with, which then would lead to, obviously, the academies being a lot better, right? Considering that the quality of football is better now, so the academies must be better, just as in terms of a pathway. So if that's the case, could you imagine Pep Guardiola putting 5 or 6 players from his academy into the Manchester City side? And I'll go one better as well. If you look into the semi-finals of '99 for Man United, Roy Keane, as you just mentioned, and Paul Scholes, 2 of the best players. Roy Keane, probably the best captain in Premier League history. Paul Scholes, certainly in with a shout of the best midfielder of all time. We'll leave that for another day. Both players were suspended for the final of the Champions League. Could you imagine if you went into that Champions League final against Inter Milan without Kevin De Bruyne and Rodri not available?
Kevin De Bruyne got injured after 20 minutes.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so there's one.
What about Rodri? And who do we bring on? An academy graduate.
The only academy graduate in the whole of the squad. Man United had 5, and so much so, you mentioned also about John Stones playing out of position. David Beckham was known, especially at his time at Man United, as the most traditional right midfielder there is, a right foot out putting the balls in. He played centre mid in the final. There you go. If you want to talk about, adapting to what you've got, and let's be realistic, Man United had two of their best midfielders, and they had to play kids. Effectively, most of these players were under 24, 25 at the very max.
So you're saying that game in itself was a bigger achievement than City beating Inter Milan?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, of course I would agree with that. The opposition you played was probably, at that time, far superior than the Inter Milan team that we played right now, 100%. But we've done it. People always go on about this squad depth. We don't have that much squad depth.
You don't have squad depth?
No, not at all. Not at all. Look what happens when we had a few injuries. We've come back in the Premier League, we were 13 points behind. We've come back and we've won it by, 8? Unbelievable. In that treble winning side, you do 21 games out of 57. 21 games. We've won pretty much every single game apart from, I think, the 4 or 5 we've lost. Taking away, like, Brentford at the end of the season, which kind of meant nothing. We weren't even trying for it then. We've come right from behind. We had a lot of problems just before Christmas. We had the most players in the Premier League going to the World Cup. You can't take that out of it. It's also come off the back of these 2 COVID seasons where we've also been fighting on all 4 fronts. The fatigue that we've had to overcome and overcome it unbelievably after the World Cup, the improvement that we've had, makes it one of the most dramatic seasons ever. And to win it all, and to beat Arsenal in the FA Cup quarter-final, who we're challenging for the league, to beat Man United, our biggest rivals. Fergie said it'll never ever happen that City will go into a derby favourites. Well, that's not the case, is it? Spanked Man United, and then to beat Bayern Munich 3-0, an unbelievable achievement. To beat Real Madrid 4-0 is an achievement that actually can't really even be quantified. That is the best achievement. That's the best result that any of those 2 teams have had in either of the 3 competitions, I think. I just don't think it can be understated what this team has actually achieved. And people talk about this strength in depth, squad depth. You see what happens when we have a couple injuries. It's not that strong.
Bring in another international player.
We're bringing a centre-back, right-footed centre-back, Manuel Akanji, to fill in at left-back.
And how much did he cost, by the way?
£15 million.
Off the bench, a European player who was already playing
started in the final.
Top elite. That's fine. Look, like I said, I don't want to sit here and try and sort of diminish what you've achieved. It's absolutely brilliant. But let's actually really look at this Champions League run, because I think, like I said, the FA Cup, comparing the 2 sides, you could admit that Man United had the tougher run, right? Because you had the likes of Sheffield United, Bristol were in there as well, I believe. So, but they're you know, we
also had to play second in the Prem and third in the Prem.
It's a lot easier compared to what Man United had to go through, who also played second and third in their respective duration in that competition. But let's look at the Champions League, right? You talk about how amazing them performances were. Besides the final, which is a neutral ground, so it doesn't actually count as an away game because there's no home team, right? Man City only won 1 away game. 1 away game. That is the only one which was severe in the group stages, right? Yeah, besides that, there was no away win on the whole of the campaign that Manchester City had. And if you want to go even further, teams like Sevilla and Leipzig, who you played as well, in the regulations of 1999, they wouldn't have qualified for the competition because it was only the top 2 maximum. Most other countries, the lesser ones, only had the top team qualify for the Champions League. So just by the way of the competition rules and regulations, there was a lot more dross, if you like. Might be a bit harsh to say that. But we're talking the upper echelons here, aren't we?
But we're also talking about Leipzig, second in the Bundesliga, Sevilla, Europa League winners.
Europa League. Exactly. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. But that's not against the 99 side. And do you know what? I think I will disrespect them teams, because if we're talking about trying to separate the 2 most successful sides, this is what it's going to have to come down to. And you talk about the Champions League the run and the Real Madrid one. I have nothing to say about that because it's incredible. You blew the Champions League winners away. That's fantastic. But look at the run that Manchester United had.
Better than any side you face.
Are you sure? Are you sure? All of the teams that Man United played in the knockout stages of '99, there's a chance, there's definitely at least an argument to say that they were better. You look at the teams of Juventus, Inter Milan, Bayern Munich. Look at the players that they had. We're talking the likes of the Brazilian Ronaldo. We're talking about Kahn in goal for Bayern Munich. The caliber of players that were back then. Okay, we're talking now as a whole. The squad, yeah, I agree. Manchester City squad is probably one of the most dominant we've seen because of the depth. And I know you don't really want to say that you've got depth, but compared to everyone else, you have 2-3 injuries for most of the teams to their top players. that they're basically done for the season. You take off Haaland for an injury, you bring on Julian Alvarez, who's a World Cup winner. So there's the golfing class that I see, and I just think in them moments, and the reason why I genuinely believe that the Man United team, like when I got asked to do this, I genuinely had a thought to think to myself and thought, do I actually believe Man United were better than this Man City side? And they are, and I'll tell you why. This is the biggest reason for me. So in the Premier League, when Manchester City first win it, the Aguero moment, a lot of people laud that as the greatest Premier League ever because of the way it was won. I know Leicester fans will have something to say because of the underdog story and whatnot, but it's hard for me to disagree. That Manchester City moment, as much as it pains me every time I see it, it was the moment of the Premier League. That is it. And people, as I say, laud that as the greatest Premier League team ever because they scored 2 goals in the final 2 minutes to win their first Premier League title. Man United scored 2 goals in the last few minutes in the Champions League final, not only to win it, but also to complete the treble. And you look at that and you just think, by default, if your Premier League title, the first one, was regarded as the best, which I probably am inclined to agree with painfully, then, as I say, by logic, the Champions League final
But it's not the best, though, is it?
Well, it is the biggest and best moment. It depends how you qualify.
It's the best moment. That Aguero goal was the best moment in my life. Probably only second to Rodri the other day. That goal, that was it Sheringham who scored the Solskjaer.
Solskjaer scored the winner.
Solskjaer scored the winner. That's the best moment in any Man United fan's life. That City team who won the league is not even in the top 3 City teams who have won the league since. So you're talking about moments rather than actual teams. This City team now is much better than the Aguero team. Yes, the moment was better. So this City team now is also much better than that Man United team, even though you had a bigger moment in the Champions League.
To be even sat at the table of talking about the treble, it's an amazing achievement. But let's be realistic. The first team to ever do it, and the fact every single time you've done it, it's always come back to Man United. You beat them in the semi-final, which makes it sweeter because we beat Man United. We've done the treble, we won the Champions League finally, and we can now speak to Man United. Your level of achievement of where you want to get to is Man United. No one was being compared when we did it. It's not at all. It's factual.
You just
it's
have
absolutely
done it.
Factual.
Exactly,
and no one's ever done it until now. Congratulations, you finally got yourself at the top table.
With a better manager,
better manager. I don't think you want to go down that route. Time to go to Aberdeen and let's see how far he gets on a £10 million budget every 5 years.
Better manager, better players, better treble.
Okay, look, I think we're going to have to agree to disagree on this one. But like I said, massive congratulations. Cheers. And Pep's, like I said, lauded himself as the greatest checkbook manager in the history of football.
It's ridiculous.